hopefully the next senator from Texas, Ted Cruz.
Thank you very much. God bless Rand Paul. And God bless Dr. Ron Paul. And God bless each and every one of you. We're taking over this country and we're bringing back freedom. Something incredible is happening in this country. Revolution is in the air. I want to tell you three things. First of all, something you know full well. Liberty is under assault. Barack Obama is the most radical president this country's ever seen. Obama is an unmitigated statist. He believes government is the answer for every need, want, and desire in your life. And he wants the nanny state to come and make every one of our decisions. Last year, for the first time in history, our national debt passed our gross domestic product. Now that's truly an ominous milestone. If you look globally and historically, that typically marks the beginning of the decline of a nation. But let me tell you something, that's not going to happen here in America. And it is not going to happen because of each and every one of you. All across America, there is a great awakening going on. Millions of Americans saying, stop! Saying, get back to the principles of liberty this country was founded on. And you know, the sad admission, Barack Obama didn't invent government spending. Republicans had been doing it for a long, long time before Obama showed up. The truth of the matter is, Republicans had lost our way. Dr. Ron Paul was one of very few voices in the wilderness. And I'll tell you, the best thing that ever happened to the Republican Party was to get its teeth kicked in 2008. In 1979, it took Jimmy Carter to give us Ronald Reagan. I am convinced the longest-lasting legacy of Barack Obama is going to be a new generation of leaders in the Republican Party who stand and fight for liberty. The second point I wanted to make, we must restore our Constitution. Every decision the federal government has made because it has gotten away from the founding document that created this nation as a bastion of liberty and hope to the world. The very first bill I intend to introduce in the United States Senate is a bill to repeal every syllable of every word of Obamacare. It's unconstitutional, it's wrong, it was arrogantly jammed down the throats of the American people, and we need to get back where we have liberty and not a government bureaucrat getting between us and our doctor. We need to audit the Fed. to co-sponsor Dr. Ron Paul's Audit the Fed bill. And in 2013, we're going to get that done. We need to dramatically shrink the size, power, and spending of the federal government. You know, I got to tell you, last year when you saw the House of Representatives wringing its hands over whether they could cut $100 billion from a budget that had a $1.6 trillion deficit, it was a joke. It was painful to watch. And you know what was beautiful to watch was the reaction in Washington when Senator Rand Paul came forward and said, here's $500 billion we can cut. If any of y'all remember the old movie Crocodile Dundee, that's not a knife, this is a knife. Look, we need to eliminate unnecessary and unconstitutional agencies. We need to eliminate the Department of Education. Education is too important for it to be controlled by a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in Washington. Education needs to be at the state level, at the local level, at the families, homeschoolers. We need to bring it back to the people. We need to eliminate the Department of Commerce, the Department of Energy, the National Endowment of the Arts. And I'll tell you what I'd most like to eliminate is the IRS. There's a transformation going on in Washington. In 2010, there was a tidal wave that swept the country. The moderate establishment in race after race had picked somebody that was their easy choice to go to Washington, who understood never, ever, ever rock the boat, never, ever, ever question why, and never stop spending. All over the country, you saw the American people rise up and say no. From Rand Paul to Marco Rubio to Mike Lee to Pat Toomey to Ron Johnson, all over the country, the American people said, give us fighters who will stand for liberty.
That's right. That's right.
You know, the biggest fight of my tenure as Solicitor General was a case called Medellin versus Texas. Medellin began with a horrific crime in my hometown of Houston, where 2 teenage girls were tragically gang raped and murdered by an illegal alien who had lived here his entire life. The case took a very strange turn because the World Court, the judicial arm of the United Nations, the World Court issued an order to the United States to reopen the convictions of 51 murderers across this country. It was the first time in history a foreign court has tried to bind the U.S. justice system. Texas stood up, and we fought the World Court. I had the honor of arguing this case twice in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. On the other side were 90 foreign nations, all of which came in against us, arguing that our justice system should be totally subservient to the World Court in the United Nations. And also on the other side was the President of the United States. The President signed an order that attempted to order the state courts to obey the World Court. So Texas stood up. We fought the World Court. We fought the United Nations. We fought 90 foreign nations, and we fought the President of the United States. We defended U.S. sovereignty, and we won 6-3. The third and final point I want to make to you this afternoon is the establishment is on the run. They are scared. Look, career politicians in both parties just want to hold on to power.
Yep.
Thomas Jefferson said, when a nation fears its leaders, there is tyranny. But when the leaders fear the people, there is liberty. When I came out here this afternoon, I was curious to see if there was going to be yellow crime tape surrounding the Capitol. My main opponent running for U.S. Senate is Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst. Session, when there was a bill in the Texas legislature to stop the TSA from groping us at the airports. President Obama got wind of that and didn't like it.
Just so you know.
And he threatened the state of Texas. He said the federal government is going to shut down every plane flight into and out of Texas. As hollow a threat as has ever been made. You're not going to shut down 50% of the commerce in the United States of America. But you know, Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst didn't want to stand up and fight. Liberal Democrat to round up the votes to kill the bill that would have stopped the TSA from groping us at the airports.
Don't mess with Texas!
He's spending $1 million a week attacking me in this campaign. And you know what? We're winning. We're winning because of each and every one of you. The strength of the campaign is not the lobbyists who are all circling their wagons around David Dewhurst. It's not the big money establishment that wants to keep business as usual. You know, there are too many people running for Senate that just want to join the club. We need to kick in the doors of the club, rip down the shades, and auction off the silverware. Liberty for me is not something abstract and academic. Like for every one of you, it's real, and for me, it's very personal. My dad was born in Cuba. My father, Rafael Cruz, is here. My dad was born in Cuba. He grew up in Cuba. And as a kid, a teenager, he began fighting in the Cuban Revolution. and he was thrown in prison and tortured as a teenager. Today, my dad is a pastor north of Dallas. To this day, his front teeth are not his own because they were kicked out of his mouth when he was a teenager in a Cuban jail. So if you see him afterwards and he has broccoli or something in his teeth, don't say anything to him. He fled Cuba in 1957 and he came right here to Austin, Texas. He didn't speak a word of English, and he had nothing except for $100 sewn into his underwear. And he got a job washing dishes, making 50 cents an hour. He worked 7 days a week, and he paid his way through the University of Texas. My dad and my mom ended up starting a small business, a seismic data processing business in the oil and gas industry. And so I grew up in Houston as the son of two small business owners. I'll tell you, when I was a kid, my dad used to say to me over and over again, when we faced oppression in Cuba, I had a place to flee to. If we lose our freedom here, where do we go? There's no question that better explains why I'm running for Senate, and there's no question that better explains why each and every one of you are out in the hot, blistering Texas sun, because we're going to defend liberty. I want to end with two final things. One, Texans have a long history of standing for liberty. It's in our blood. It's who we are. And I want to recall the words one Texan wrote on February 24th, 1836. It began, to the people of Texas and all Americans in the world, I am besieged. I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours and have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion. I have answered the demand with a cannon shot.
Don't mess with Texas!
And our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or defeat. Then I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and of everything dear to the American character to come to our aid. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and to die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death. That's our heritage as Texans, and it is incumbent on Texans to lead the fight to turn this country around. The last thing I want to do is with apologies to Barack Obama. I want to ask you a few questions. Can we restore the Constitution? Yes, we can. Can we retake the U.S. Senate? Can we retire Harry Reid? Can we repeal Obamacare? And can we retire President Barack Obama? That, my friends, is change we can believe in.